Let me take you back to a moment you probably know too well. You've worked for years to rebuild yourself, piece by piece. You've faced your demons, learned from your mistakes, and slowly, carefully constructed the person you are today. The ghosts of your past have been quieted. The chapters you're not proud of have been closed. And for the first time in a long time, you feel solid, grounded, and at peace with your journey. Then it happens. In the middle of an ordinary day, during what should be a normal conversation, someone reaches into the archives of your life and pulls out that version of you that you worked so hard to leave behind. They don't just mention it casually, they wield it like a weapon, holding up your past self as evidence against the person standing before them today. That moment when time seems to slow down, when you can feel the blood rushing to your face, when the room suddenly feels smaller and the air feels thicker, when every insecurity you thought you'd conquered comes rushing back in an instant. How do you stand your ground when someone tries to redefine you by a chapter you already finished? How do you maintain your dignity and self-respect when faced with an attack that feels so deeply personal? And most importantly, how do you reclaim your power when someone uses your own history as ammunition against you? The betrayal and emotional impact. Let's sit with that feeling for a moment. That visceral, gut-wrenching sensation when their words land. It's not just embarrassment or anger. It's a profound sense of betrayal. It's the realization that someone you trusted, or at least someone you coexisted with, has been storing this information, waiting for the right moment to use it against you. Your heart starts pounding like it's trying to escape your chest. Your palms get clammy. Your mind races through 1,000 responses, but your mouth can't form any of them. You're simultaneously frozen and flooded with emotion. And here's what makes it so devastating. They're not just reminding you of something you did. They're trying to erase everything you've become since that moment. They're saying, in effect, forget all your growth. Forget all your learning. Forget all the ways you've changed. This one moment from your past is who you really are. It's a power play, pure and simple. They're trying to knock you off balance, to make you feel small, to remind you that they know things about you that could damage you. They want you to feel that old shame, that vulnerability, that sense of being less than, that you worked so hard to overcome. The mindset shift invitation. But what if I told you there's a different way to approach these moments? What if you could not only defend against these attacks, but actually emerge from them stronger and more self-assured? What if these attempts to shame you could become the very evidence that proves how far you've come? The ancient Stoics, who faced political persecution, exile, and incredible personal challenges, understood something crucial about human dignity. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave and became one of history's most influential philosophers, wrote, "People are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." What if the secret to handling these situations isn't about changing what happened in your past, but about fundamentally changing your relationship to it? What if, instead of seeing your past as a liability, you could learn to see it as part of your strength? Practical framework. Acceptance. Let's start with the most powerful and most difficult first step. Looking the person in the eye and saying, with complete calmness, yes, that happened. Not, yes, but let me explain the context. Not, yes, but it wasn't really like that. Just, yes, that happened. When you can acknowledge your past without shame, without defensiveness, without needing to justify or explain it away, something extraordinary happens. You drain their words of their power. You take the ammunition right out of their hands. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced constant political attacks and personal betrayals, wrote in his private journals, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." By accepting what stands in your way, including the uncomfortable truths of your past, you transform obstacles into stepping stones. This doesn't mean you're proud of every choice you've made. It doesn't mean you celebrate your mistakes. It means you recognize that they're part of your story, but they don't get to write the ending. You're the author here, not them. Reframing narrative, growth focus. Now, let's take this a crucial step further. Instead of saying, "That was a mistake I made," try shifting your language to, "That was an experience I learned from." Do you feel the difference? The first formulation keeps you stuck in the identity of someone who makes errors. The second frames you as someone who grows from experiences. Consider the incredible transformation of Maya Angelou. She endured childhood trauma, experienced brutal racism, became a single mother at 17, and worked jobs ranging from streetcar conductor to sex worker in her early years. Yet she never allowed her past to define her limits. She famously said, "I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better." Her past didn't disappear, but it became part of her wisdom rather than her shame. Your scars aren't evidence of your weaknesses. They're proof of your capacity to heal. Your mistakes aren't permanent stains on your character. They're lessons that have contributed to your depth and understanding. Every experience that once caused you pain has also taught you something valuable about yourself, about others, about life itself. Strategic questioning, control shift. When someone brings up your past with clear, negative intentions, try this simple but profoundly disarming question. I'm curious. What's your intention in bringing this up right now? Watch what happens in the space after you ask this. The energy of the conversation shifts dramatically. Suddenly, the focus isn't on your past behavior anymore. It's on their present motives. You're no longer defending yourself. You've created space to observe their intentions. If they claim they're just concerned about you or trying to help you see something, you can respond with genuine calm. I appreciate your concern, but I've actually grown significantly from that experience, and I'm comfortable with how I've processed it. If their intentions are less pure, the question alone often exposes their motives. Most people who attack others with past mistakes aren't prepared to examine their own reasons for doing so. This approach comes straight from Stoic wisdom. The understanding that while we can't control what others say or do, we always have control over how we respond. By choosing curiosity and observation over defensiveness and reaction, you maintain your emotional footing and intellectual clarity. The power of silent response. Sometimes, the most powerful response you can offer is no verbal response at all. In our hyper-connected, constantly communicating world, silence has become uncomfortable. We feel pressured to have quick comebacks, witty retorts, immediate answers. But in reality, strategic silence can be an act of immense personal power. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher who served as advisor to Emperor Nero during one of Rome's most turbulent periods, wisely observed, "The one who angers you conquers you." When you refuse to engage in emotional combat, when you choose inner peace over the need to prove yourself right, you demonstrate a level of self-control that speaks louder than any words ever could. Your silence in the face of their provocation says, "I am so secure in who I am today that I don't need to defend who I was yesterday. I am so clear about my own growth that I don't require your validation or approval. I am so committed to my peace that I won't sacrifice it for this argument." This isn't the silence of suppression or avoidance. It's the silence of choice, of boundaries, of self-respect. It preserves your emotional energy for what truly matters: your continued growth, your well-being, your peace. Conclusion. As we come to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this fundamental truth. Your past doesn't define you. How you carry it forward does. The people who truly matter in your life will see your growth without needing lengthy explanations or constant proof. Those who don't see it, or who refuse to acknowledge it, their opinion ultimately says more about their own limitations than about your worth. Marcus Aurelius offered this beautifully simple directive. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Or, in our context, stop explaining who you've become. Just be that person, consistently, authentically, unapologetically. You don't need to prove your transformation to anyone but yourself. Your peace of mind is infinitely more valuable than being right in any argument. Your continued growth is far more important than being universally understood or approved of. The next time someone tries to use your past against you, remember this. You hold the pen to your story. You get to decide which chapters define you. You have the power to acknowledge your past while firmly, confidently living in your present reality. If this conversation resonated with you, I've created another video about building unshakable self-confidence that addresses exactly how to develop the inner foundation that makes these strategies work. You'll find it on the screen now. Thank you for being part of our Stoic Synthesis community. Subscribe for more practical wisdom on transforming your life, one thought at a time. Remember, your past made you experienced. Your response to it makes you wise. Your growth makes you unstoppable. Keep moving forward, one peaceful step at a time.